Approximately 66% of men will have experienced some degree of hair loss by the age of 35.
Ew.
Look, it's just stress. Just shave it, kid.
Okay, listen, it's not that bad.
Where'd you hear that?
Yeah.
We're bald by choice.
Season 2.
So happy it's Thursday. What an interesting month of podcasts we're going to have here, I think.
Dude, it's season of the guests, bro.
Season of the guests.
Steven, you know what? You know what's crazy? We didn't really plan this, but it's more of like season 2, bald by choice, artistic style theme, whatever we're doing.
I definitely thought you were going to say Electric Boogaloo because...
You know, that's why I paused, because I was going to, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
We've made that joke so many
Too
times.
cliche.
Yeah. I'm gonna stand out a little bit. No, but we have a.
Well, this was a fun one.
Yeah, this was a fun one. And we're saying, cue balls out there. We're saying it past tense because we actually recorded this several weeks ago, before we even started the season, just due to scheduling and whatnot. But we kind of figured out that with the first 2 episodes, first 2 guests, it's very art themed.
Yeah. Got to keep that ball rolling.
Keep it going.
So.
I mean, we had WebGem on in the first episode. He still loved the intro.
Yeah.
Still love it.
Oh, yeah. Great music for us. Great insights.
Yeah, he was
first show.
Yeah, he was the music inclined guest. That is an art form. And then this week we actually have a little one that hits closer to home, Christopher.
Yeah. Our old theater director.
Yeah, Kasey
Akerman.
Miss Kasey Akerman, exactly. Ms. Don't forget that.
Ms.
It's not Mrs.
Yes.
It's not Mrs.
Yeah. We found out. I guess we'll jump right into it. But we found out it's been 14 years since we started theater and met her. So it's been quite a while.
14?
14 was the first year. Yeah.
Oh wow. Do you remember how we
time.
kind of started theater before we get? I don't think we ever talked about it in the.
I don't think we did
Conversation
either.
with
Well,
her.
you did theater class, right?
No, actually, I was in an English class, and I don't know if you guys went through this, but our theater director at our school was always the English teacher. Is that
Right.
like a normal thing, or is that just what we experience?
I don't know. It seems like it would be a normal thing, right? But who knows?
Anyways, so I had an English teacher. Her name was Mrs. Baker, and I was very myself. And she's like, "Hey, you should join theater." And I didn't ever think about it before. And so the next year, she got me all riled up to do it, and then she quit. So.
Yeah, right
She
away.
went to a different school. So we had Ms. Akerman, who was the replacement English teacher / theater director. And then I went to try out. I knew what I wanted to do, and me not being able to detach myself from the Skyler and Chris duo, I said, "Chris, you got to try out."
And if I remember correctly, I hated the idea at first.
No, you didn't want to do it. I said,
"Well,
here's the thing. Looking back at it now, I think you realized how important it was for me to do it. And I told you, hey, I'm not going to try out unless you try out. And
I've always had this thing about liking to hear myself talk, so that kind of worked out.
That's also true. Yeah, for sure. And you said, okay, we'll try out. I'm not promising that I'll do it, but I'll try out. I was like, okay, cool. And we tried out, and one thing led to another, and we continued our 3-year high school theater career.
Yeah. I do have to say they did some cool ones before we were in it, but I think we joined at the right time.
I think we did too. I mean, we did several different plays. I mean, you guys will hear kind of one of the plays that we did, and we'll talk about it a little more in depth. But I mean, we did the classics, Romeo and Juliet. I feel like that's such like a high school play. You know what I mean? Like you're watching a movie and it's like, oh, they're doing Romeo and Juliet always.
That and Everybody Does Seussical and everybody does what's the robe, the multicolor
Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Yeah.
There you go. We got there.
Yeah.
We got there.
You were almost there. You almost had it.
I almost had it.
But yeah, we did a couple of the different plays, and it was a fun time. It was we really blossomed in the theater department, I feel like.
Yeah, we had some fun times.
So,
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. Without further ado,
ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the season 2, episode 2, Bald by Choice podcast, Theater of the Mind.
It's been 7 years since I've directed theater.
Oh,
really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I directed my last production when I was 8.5 months pregnant. We produced the show. 2 weeks later, I popped out a baby, and I never directed again.
Well, now
I wanted to be a mom.
Well, I mean, that's the full-time director right there. I mean, you're directing a life.
Yes, that's a good point.
She is the main character in your new play.
Called I Might Not Kill You Today.
Exactly. And it is up to you to make that play a good one. And I think you're doing a fantastic job, Akerman. I think you're doing great.
I work hard. I try really hard.
Yes, good. That is crazy. So after we left, it was what, like you said 3 years after we left?
What do you mean? 3 years after you left?
3 years you stopped directing 3 years after.
No, I ended up directing I feel like I directed for 8 years total.
Okay.
So
that does make sense.
So I directed for, you guys were sophomores, I think.
Correct.
When I took over.
Yes.
Or one of the two, freshman or sophomore. And I already had a year.
Sophomore.
Yeah, I already had a year under my belt. And so then I directed you guys for 3 years. And then I think I did it for 4 or 5 more years after that. 2015 was my last production.
Okay. So 5 years after we graduated.
Yep. So
Okay.
8 or 9 years, 8 years on my own and 1 year under Baker.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah. I
Miss
forgot
Baker.
about
She
Miss Baker.
she's the one that told me to join theater, so that's good. I'm sure the main motivation for you to leave being a director is when we left, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
5 years. You gave it 5 good years after we left. You're like, it's still not getting any better. I don't understand.
You guys were an absolute joy though, because you were wild.
Yeah.
And you were fun, and you had no fear and no filter, and there was never any sense of like, is what I'm doing cool? Is what I'm doing gonna be considered like popular? You guys just performed, and you had like a genuine love for that, and I think that translated really well with audiences. Audiences like that. They like people who aren't afraid.
Yeah, I mean, because I've been to
It's fun
plays.
to watch.
Yeah, and I've been to plays where it's like you can tell that they're not comfortable. You can tell that it's forced or something, and then you could feel that as an audience member. And yeah, I'm glad that that you saw that in us too. That's cool.
I wouldn't say no fear, because I do remember Romeo and Juliet right at that first scene. Just all of us, we're talking to Kelsey and everybody, like, all right, what do we do when we get out there? And they're like, oh, you'll just black out and you'll be fine. And that's how it went. That's, you get
Pretty
off stage
much.
and you're like, did I just do something here?
I'm
Are
not
we
even
done?
sure what I said.
Yeah.
No,
Did I get my
agree
lines
with
right?
you.
Yeah.
You guys remember doing Friday Night Live?
Of course.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so I felt the same way about Friday Night Live when I was hosting those improvs, when I was the Drew Carey, you know? I'd get out there and I don't remember what I said. I don't remember what I did. You can barely see the audience. The lights are so hot, but you just go. It's almost like you're an automaton, a robot, and you just do.
Yeah.
You do what you're trained to do. And I would agree with you that there is a degree of fear, and that's how you know you're alive. It's your central nervous system working.
Oh yeah. I mean, coming from I told Chris I'd throw this in there because of course I continued after high school. I didn't do theater because I attempted to, because I went into it and I went to go try out, got headshots printed off like they directed me to do. I did all this stuff and I went in there and there's a line, out the door for this the casting and whatever, and this person is about to go into the doors, and this other person runs up to her, and she's like, oh my gosh, I hope you do great, you're gonna do fantastic. And she hugged her, and then she hugged her back. She goes, oh my god, thank you, I'm so nervous. And then she went into the door is shut, and then the girl turns around, looks at everybody else, and she goes, I hope that bitch chokes. And I said, not doing theater.
Yeah.
This isn't
Wow.
for me.
Yep. And so I rerouted, and I ended up joining and auditioning for an improv comedy troupe, Ball State's premier improv comedy troupe, and was doing that for 3 years, and I really enjoyed that.
Oh, I bet you were incredible.
Oh, I sure was, Akerman. I sure was. The glory days. Gotta love it.
Guess how many shows I went to?
0. Chris didn't go to any of my shows.
I went to one show.
I
But
wasn't
it was
in it.
before Skyler joined.
And he said he had a terrible time. And I was like, well, that's because I wasn't in there yet. That's probably why. But yeah, so I continued that energy outward too.
I can't believe that girl turned around and said, I hope she chokes.
Yeah, man, it was I mean, that was kind of eye-opening for me, because I mean, it was kind of like you would think, that's whole high school drama stuff, right? Like that wouldn't be in a college theater, but yeah, I guess that goes everywhere.
I guess I didn't realize it was like that even at the high school level.
Oh, I mean,
Are-
not the people. I mean, it depends.
Yeah.
It depends on who we're talking about. But so Akerman, do you and here's the thing, I keep calling you Akerman, but I can't force myself to say Kasey. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
That's okay. You can call me Akerman. Lots of
Yeah.
people call me Akerman.
Before
Yeah.
you jumped on, I said, all right, you call her Akerman the whole time. I'll say Kasey the whole time. I apparently couldn't do it because
It's tough.
I don't think I've called you
man.
Kasey one time.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's so hard. It's like,
That's
when
funny
you're-
because I'm 38 and you're 30. So it's not like there's this
No.
ginormous age gap where
No.
I'm like some sort of like professorial status over you or something. No,
No.
like feel free.
it was
to
11
call
years
me
ago.
Kasey. What a long time. Feel free to call me Kasey or feel free to call me Akerman, whatever makes you most comfortable.
Awesome.
I always remember where you were always like, it's Ms. Akerman. Ms. Because people were like Mrs. Akerman or whatever, and you'd be like, it's Ms. Akerman.
I do that now too because
I
if they
bet.
call me Mrs., I always tell them I paid good money to get rid of that R. Okay, I paid really good money to get rid of that. You will call me Ms.
So Akerman, do you know if you remember any of the plays that we did? I mean, we got a handful of plays that we kind of put together between musicals and plays, and I wanted to kind of
so
yeah, go ahead.
we're gonna talk about them, huh?
Yeah, sure.
I remember Romeo and Juliet.
Okay.
You guys were my body, Samson and Gregory.
Yes, we were.
Yep.
And if you don't recall this, a little bit of inside info. I originally wanted the role of Gregory, and Chris wanted
And
Samson.
I wanted Samson. Yep. And you knew that.
Yeah,
when we
and
were
you knew that,
auditioning.
and you switched us, which was fine. I'd rather have Samson. I'm more of a Samson.
out perfect, I think.
Yeah, I think definitely having you cast us is perfect because we didn't know what we wanted. That's for sure.
And the funny thing is if I didn't give you what you wanted, it was probably arbitrary at that point because it's not like those roles are so drastically different that you really need one specific type of person in each role. Like,
Listen, that's drastically different. I had a goatee, or somewhat of a high school goatee. There was some character development there. Okay, I was
I had
more of
really
the
thick
leading man.
eyeliner.
Yeah, Chris had really good eyeliner. Drastically
funny.
different. Yeah.
okay. And then I remember Check Please, right? Wasn't that one of them?
Yes, check please.
I love that production, by the way. I think I will love that show for the rest of my life. It's just so adorable to me.
It was fun.
That's one of my favorites. And then, okay, musical. Oh, wait a minute. I remember Wiley and the Hairy Man.
Yep.
Why
That was
For
would
the
I
first one.
kids. For the
Yeah.
kids.
I love that show. There is that I was thinking about that show just the other day, thinking to myself, if I ever go back to theater, I would love to direct another children's production
Yeah.
And Wiley and the Hairy Man would not be one that I would count out because it can be so creative.
Mm-hmm.
Just
I
remember,
like
don't let the costume designers hot glue it while the person's wearing the Hairy Man costume.
So we really did hot glue hair onto Willie, didn't we?
Yep.
We
While
did.
he was just wearing what was it? Pantyhose,
Tights.
something
No,
like that.
tights
No,
with
it
the
was
Yeah.
tights.
it was like what do you call those? What do you call those? Long johns.
Oh yeah.
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 Oh
Long
dear
johns.
God.
Cue balls, for those of you who don't know, Wiley and the Hairy Man was a children's play, and we did that. That was actually our very first production. We did that production alongside the same year in the fall, with Romeo and Juliet. But we did this one, and it was as a kids show, and we invited a bunch of different elementary schools to come take a field trip to, Elkhart Memorial High School. Super fun field trip, I'm sure. And they came to watch us perform Wiley and the Hairy Man. Wiley and the Hairy Man centers around a fatherless boy and his mother, his faithful dog, and the Hairy Man, so aka kind of like the boogeyman of the swampland that they live at. And he haunts Wiley's days and dreams, and through rhythm and rhyme and a chorus creates the mystery of the swamp. And so, as you can tell with the rhythm and the rhyme, there was a lot of I wouldn't say
The Hairy Man.
yeah, the
other
hairy,
minute.
scary man. Yeah, hairy man. Yeah, that's pretty
Those
much.
kids were terrified.
Yeah, they were.
Oh, they did
When he
not.
jumped on that stage, flying through the air. Oh, that was great.
What grades, Akerman, did we invite?
Fourth grade.
Fourth grade. So they were what? 8, 9 years old.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Jackson's
that's
playing these,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, so I that's what I remember. I remember that they were terrified of him. And afterwards, when we lined up to like greet everybody as they were, leaving the school, they did not go near the Hairy Man. They did not go near him.
Yeah. And in that moment, I felt bad for Willie because clearly he was alienated from the rest of the cast who was so loved and adored by those darling children. But at the same time, I was proud of him in the sense that he did his job. They weren't supposed to like him.
Yep.
They were supposed to be terrified of him.
Mm-hmm.
We had done what we needed to do. I was looking at letters from those fourth graders, probably in July when I was packing up my classroom. And I found a stack of letters and from those little fourth graders talking about you guys. And it was so cute. And
That's
a couple
awesome.
couple of those letters mentioned how much they hated him.
Oh, I'm sure. That's awesome. Chris and I were actually the lovable roles of tall grass, doorknob, and wall.
Yep.
Yeah. Very lovable.
Yeah.
And I luckily I say luckily, but I was luckily in that one. I don't know if you remember, I actually had band competition the same weekend we decided to have the actual show for the adults. So we just had like a gap that people had to circle around on. I was a wall, it's fun.
Well, hey, you live in a swamp, you're gonna get holes in your walls. It happens.
Yeah, it's par for the course, I think.
Yeah, definitely. But we were decked out and like it looked like actual mud and grass stained like shirts.
Well, I remember what I remember, you guys took those shirts outside and really did. Yeah.
Listen,
they smell pretty bad.
It's what do you call that? What do you call that when you do the stuff in real life for a role? What is that? What is that, Chris? And like
What is
come
that
on.
method?
Come on.
Method acting. That's what it was.
Method. It's
Method
method
acting.
acting. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what we did.
I could only think of Stanislavski and it was like, and Meisner, and I'm like, that's not right. So
I can't even pronounce Stanislavski. I can't even say that. But yeah, so that was a fun one. That was that one not for the kids. Hashtag for the kids.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's why we did it alongside, because it was kind of like a mini one. What is it, like 30 minutes long? It wasn't that long.
A little longer than that.
Okay.
In some cases, I think I've seen them where they're almost an hour, but I don't think ours was quite an hour. And that was the last year that Elkhart did that because it cost a lot of money to pay the bus drivers to bus those kids over, bus them back. So you guys were the very last group to perform a children's production for the fourth grade for the fourth graders in Elkhart Community Schools. And that had been a long-standing tradition for like 2 to 3 decades at that point.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't
I
know
remember
that.
going. Yeah.
Last ones.
Interesting. I had no
crazy.
idea about that.
Yeah, that's why you guys didn't do a children's show your junior or your senior year.
Makes sense.
That
Yeah.
does make sense. I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the theater budget kind of dwindled as time progressed on forward. Is that
Well,
is that
yeah,
true?
too, because when you cut out a children's production, children's productions are usually really cheap.
Mhm.
So you can stage a children's production for less than $1,000, and then you can make 5,000. So when they stopped bringing those fourth graders over, there was no longer like a huge demand for the children's show, and
Mhm.
thus we wouldn't make that money. And then you know, ticket sales and the price of lumber being what they were, you know, like the cost of regular shows, especially the cost of a musical. I mean, you can spend 6, 7, 10, 20 grand on a musical and never recoup that money on ticket sales.
Mhm.
So we played with about $5,000 to $7,000 in our budget for every show.
Okay.
Less than that for the fall plays. I really tried to make sure we didn't come even close to that for a fall play.
Mhm.
Probably more like 2 to 3 grand on a fall play, but the musicals we would spend 5 to 7.
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet though had to be expensive, right? I remember those set pieces we built were massive.
The fountain for one.
Yeah.
Well, we built the fountain out of a lot of existing lumber, thank God. And I'm pretty sure I spent like $1,200 in lumber that year. And we had already purchased a huge lumber load the year before. And so at that point, I didn't really have to buy lumber for years after that. Like I had enough plywood and enough luan to last me like 4 or 5 years. I never had to buy like a bunch more at that point. So it was kind of a good idea to just buy a bunch in those 2 years and then not have to buy any for a long time after that.
Okay. Now, so it's crazy because I've never, heard the inside workings of this before. So I definitely have questions about that. So like now so you used the budget for that fall play for that lumber, but then made up for it then because later because you didn't have to use as much for that, right?
In later years, I didn't have to use as much lumber. Yep.
Smart.
And
now
like the year that we did Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, I ended up having 2 institutions donate all the costumes. So I didn't have to spend except probably like $1,000 on costumes because a church donated all their costumes and a community theater loaned us all their costumes. So Joseph, we were able to spend a lot of money building all those incredible sets.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember, like we had the pyramid and the barrelhead and the wall. So we spent big money on the sets that year because we were able to save a ton of money in costuming.
I think that was a great show. That was definitely one of my favorites. I was very hesitant about doing a musical. I don't know if you guys know this, but not the most rhythmic individual out there.
I heard you sing at auditions. I saw you dance at auditions.
Hey, you know what? And that was like I was an open book there. That was it. Hey, that's why you say the chorus that are there, and you just do watermelon cantaloupe, and so your lips look like you're singing, and then you just act it out. And that's fine.
I've never heard that before. Watermelon cantaloupe.
Oh yeah, so you say watermelon cantaloupe. With any song, it looks as if you're singing it. If you're obviously in a big group of, no one's going to point you out and like, oh, he's not singing, right? Because you're Melvin. So that's what I did mostly because I could never. There's a song, Chris. Do you remember this song where they and red and green and
blue.
Yeah. Oh. I always screwed that up. Always screwed it up. I didn't know, and it goes like and mauve and purple and gold, and I'm just like I don't know.
Yeah, we didn't want to audition for that, did we? And I think we were there watching every audition, and you and why can't I think of Darby's mom's name?
Liesl Bell.
Mrs. Bell, yeah. You both. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't think of that.
Literally, Miss
literally
Bell.
just saw her dad like 2 months ago. But yeah, I think we were just sitting there. You said, "Nope, you're in here. You got to come up on stage." And you
Yeah,
guys
we're
kinda
gonna go
forced
ahead
us
and
into it.
we're gonna go ahead and cast you in this production. Come on in.
Yeah, and we made it our own. We had fun with it. We were the infamous Chris, Asher, and I, Dan. We had a backstory. We were actually the only twins of the brothers,
Yep.
and so we wore the same costume, but in different. I had like a what did I have? I just had like a dress thing on, and then you had like a vest, right? Or
Something like that.
we'll
It
throw
was
a
something
picture up
really,
here.
really dumb. Yeah.
Yeah, but same design, same everything. And I had a wig. That was fun. That was really fun. I definitely had a pirate wig, and that was really nice to. I wanted to grow my hair out after that for sure, because it was so delicious.
Yeah, I would say Joseph is probably my favorite. You guys
Yep.
did an incredible job with that. That was just fun and funny and just good.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite ones. And other than what was the other one? Check. We already kind of spoke about Check Please. But that one, everyone knows what Joseph Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat is. Everyone knows what Romeo and Juliet is. But Check Please, that was the one where there's a guy and a gal, and they were going the whole story, the whole plot was it would kind of alternate between scenes. It'd be kind of the one scene each, and then you'd have the guy going on a date, and it was a terrible date, and then the girl going on a date, and it was a terrible date, and it would alternate one after one after one. And they never had any names, so it was guy and girl, and I just made it that my name was Guy, because that's a name.
It is.
And
An
Chris,
actor too.
what was
Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce, great actor. Yeah. Well, who were you in that?
I was a jock.
Okay.
I wore my Rams jersey. And I had really thick eyeliner on part of the course.
I think that was
it. I honestly, we were talking about this kind of in prep, and I said, I don't remember that one. I was in it. I was there. I was at everything. I really don't remember doing it. I forget about that one all the time. So, I don't know why. It was definitely a really, I've seen it since, and it's a really, really good play. So,
it's funny.
Just it's so funny.
Yeah. It was weird, but.
So, Skyler, can you remember some of the bad dates you went on? What were some of the horrible dates?
Are we doing real life? Or are we talking about the play still?
No, of course we're doing Check Please. If you want to salt and pepper some of the stuff from your real life, go right ahead.
Well, here's the thing. There's not many outside of the play. So let's stick to the play, that we have more story to tell. Okay. More entertaining that way too. So I would say the bad dates that I went on during the play there was a girl who was a kleptomaniac.
Oh, that was good. I
And
remember
this one stands out to me so much because I think it was Sierra Ally was the role. And at the very end, she stole the rose out of the centerpiece. And that's when it was supposed to, fade to black, and it didn't. There was a technical issue, and it didn't fade to black, and so it was just me alone in the light and the audience, and I just go, and I literally break the fourth wall, and I go like this. I go, well, check please, and then it fades, and it was like awesome, and I wasn't supposed to say that. It was
good save.
Yeah. And it was that one stands out to me a lot. That one was really fun. And then there was this one who I met on J Date. I believe that was Ashley Beadle. Ashley Beadle. And she, I don't know if you remember this, Chris, but every rehearsal I was infamous for this too, though. Akerman will attest to this. I would not know my lines to the fullest until show night.
That's true.
Yeah.
And then I nailed it. And it'd be, Thursday night, 1:00 in the morning. She goes, Skyler, seriously, you still don't have your lines memorized? I'll get it. Okay. Friday night comes along and everyone is like pins and needles on the edge of their seat, biting their nails. And I got it all. I got it all right. And
Yeah,
that was the issue though, because during rehearsal, I would always say the wrong lines and Ashley Beadle had to make up for that with a different line or, something else. So come show night, I say the right lines and she was lost. She didn't know what to say.
I don't remember that. That's funny.
She was so used to saving your butt that she was like, I don't even know what to do when everything goes right.
Yeah. And then of course, you got to put in the mime there. Anna Marie Dibley. She was the mime.
Yeah.
So there was obviously no lines there, but the physical comedy was great. And there was one girl that was consistently laughing because my dog died or something. That was but yeah, that's pretty much all the other ones. And then Corinne was the girl.
Yep, I remember that.
And she went on a bunch of dates, with Willie, who was super extreme, like
I remember
throwing
extreme
darts. Yeah.
To the extreme.
Yeah, to the extreme. And that was really fun. But no, overall, that was a fun play. And I think that was was that the first? I don't think that was the first lead that I was. I think I had one before that.
Did we do the mini ones before that?
The one acts?
We did the fall festival of one acts. And I can't remember if that was before Check Please or after Check Please.
I think it was before. I think it really was before, because I think Actor's Nightmare was my premiere lead role.
Yeah, I love that show.
And I was super upset though at the time, because I was like, but it's a one act and I'm a lead. I'm like a lead in a one act. I'm like, it was just,
It was an incredible show though.
It was fun. That was Chris. Well, help us out here, Akerman. We can talk about Actor's Nightmare here in a second, but we have been throwing our heads up against the wall trying to figure out what this one was called.
It was I was in it with Alyssa Riffle as the young versions of Kelsey Swirsky and Taylor Jacks. And I had a chair fetish, and that's all we can remember of this play. Like, that's the only
Was Kara Walterhouse in it as a psychiatrist?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. She was, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I literally can't, for the life of me, remember what this play was called.
It was all on a couch at the psychologist's office, right? And there was future and present. Yeah. And it was kind of like they were going through a really crazy relationship thing. Yeah.
I don't remember. Oh. I would have to reach out to Kara. Kara would remember.
I even tried Googling it, but when you Google Google play with chair fetish, it doesn't come up with the same kind of results that we're looking for.
Yeah, I don't think you should do that anymore.
Yeah, definitely didn't use my work computer. That's for sure.
No, in fact, when I looked at your agenda and I saw that line about the chairs, what play is this? I was like, I've got nothing. And the only person who will remember at this point is Kara. The only thing I can tell you about that particular production that I remember anyway, is that Kara, her role in it was like a therapist or a psychiatrist. She was younger than you guys. She was either a freshman or a sophomore at the time.
Yeah.
She got this lead role. She did really well with it. And I'm pretty sure it was a one act that I got from out of Canada.
Really? Oh. Maybe that's why we couldn't find it.
Maybe.
Pretty sure I ordered it from a company in Canada.
So
and then the other one act was a sure thing, right? It was a sure thing. An Actor's Nightmare.
Was it a sure thing?
That
was one that, because I found that online.
With Corey Atwell. Do you remember that? Where it was the bell.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that was a sure thing. Yep. No, that's what I was the jock in.
And what were you in Check Please, Chris?
What was I in Check Please? Was I the waiter?
No, we didn't have a waiter.
I was at a table with Taylor Stutz next to you guys. That was my role.
No, that was just for the ambiance. Chris, you had a role. No, you had a role in Check Please, dude.
You did, Chris. You did, because in fact, most people had a lot of people went on 2 dates because we just didn't have enough. So you had to have like a costume change. And so you definitely went on dates. We just can't remember what they were.
Did I have something about eating and I was like really selfish?
I don't remember.
Sounds familiar to me.
Chris, we don't know your role, buddy. Why don't you know?
Oh, maybe. Maybe. That sounds familiar too. I don't know.
Oh.
That might be it. Yeah.
There was
Yeah, like
somebody
I
who
said,
had
that one's just
phobia. Yes, I think that was you, because
Yeah.
Corinne kept making suggestions, and you were like, "No, I can't eat that. I'm a something or other phobic."
I think that's right.
Yeah.
There you
Wow.
go. Leave it to Akerman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. There
Way
we
to
go.
Chris. There you go. Now we just got to remember that chair one.
I will text Kara and I will get back to you guys.
So we did so what was the thought process behind for the 1X? Like, what made you guys want to do that rather than a normal fall play?
Straight play.
Mhm.
We wanted to do the 1X because we had a huge interest that year. We had like 50 kids who were interested in being in theater.
Yeah.
And doing a festival of 1X allows more opportunity for people.
Mhm.
So it allows more people to be in a play. It allows more people to be leads. Like, I can't remember who was in A Sure Thing with Corey Atwell, but it was Corey Atwell and one other person, and somebody who sat there and rang a bell, a third person. And so that was like a 15-minute 1-act where they got to just be the stars. And then one of the other ones was it called The Game?
Yep.
The Game.
Life
and
and
that
Death.
was Taylor
Yeah.
Stutz was a lead in that, and so was Willie.
Yep.
And it allowed him to be a lead in that. And then the other 1-act was The Actor's Nightmare.
Yeah.
And then there was a really random one that I can't remember because I didn't have anything to do with that. That was Courtney Papa. I don't know if you guys remember her, but she assisted for a year, Courtney Papa, and she directed, I can't remember if it was called A Walk in the Park or something, but it was something very, very interesting. I liked the idea of the Festival of 1Acts for the simple fact that lots of people get to be a part of it and lots of people get to have a lead.
Mhm.
And they kind of fly. And one of them was the entire Theater 1 class.
Yeah.
Did a 1. Yeah.
Nobody to Murder.
Nobody to Murder. That is correct. Yep. Kind of a cheesy little production, but it's a good, foray into the world of acting for those Theater 1 students. I did that for years after that. I did This Is a Test after that. One of my other favorite 1-acts. I love that show. This Is a Test. That's incredible. The people who were able to do that one really enjoyed that production.
Now, for Nobody to Murder, I do recall, I think there was a theater student that you had that could not participate in the role that he was assigned. And so, you know what? I stepped up. And I was the inspector, the detective. I wasn't in theater class, and I stepped up, Chris. I stepped up.
Was this senior year? Was that when this was? When No. When was this?
Was it senior year? No, this was before.
Had to have been your junior year.
Junior year. Okay.
Yeah, and then there was, the rest of the 1X. There was the Actor's Nightmare. That's the one I was in, and that was when, basically, every Actor's Nightmare, you get on stage, you don't know any of the lines.
Right. Don't even know the play you're in. And
don't know the play you're
incredible.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was comical because the whole time I was just kind of going with the flow, and this was my favorite part. I got to slap the shit out of Corinne. And I slapped her hard. I slapped her the hardest I could, and I felt so bad. But then she's like, "Oh, this was opening night," and I was like, "Wham!" And because we both agreed in the process that we're not going to do that fake slap because we both couldn't get it right. For one, the height difference was it was off, and you could tell that we were hitting each other's hands. Because Chris, that stage. Yeah,
you put your hands like right up here, and then you smack the crap out of that. Yeah.
You react. Okay, so we could never get that right, and so we just said, you know what? Let's just do it. We were committed, and we're like, okay, cool, and we did it. And man, she got me back so much harder. So like my face was so red for the rest of the play. That was so fun.
You always had trouble with those stage actions, right? You and Nick Klein, Richard. And the headbutt.
That was for Romeo and Juliet, and looking at each other. He said, "I'll go right, you go left." We're like, "Okay, cool." and we both went the headbutt, and my tooth, he probably still has a scar on his forehead.
Yeah.
My tooth went through his forehead, and he was gushing blood all over the place. And that was pretty awesome because we went to the same direction, obviously.
It's kind of a cursed show. Nick, the other Nick,
Coberhell
got his nipple sliced open with one of the fake prop swords. And halfway through the start of casting, I broke my finger and was in a cast the whole time. Had to switch hands, learn how to sword fight with my left hand.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then
we wrapped it up with like cloth, like white cloth to make it look more in the time period.
Yep. And then
Oh my God.
And then during the play, during the big sword fight, my sword, parried into the fountain. And I remember backstage, Jessica Orbianski saying, "Hey, swords in the fountain, swords in the fountain. Hey, guys, swords in the fountain." And they were in the middle of it was Nick Coberhell and Marcus. Can't remember his last name. Newton. Newton. Yes. And they had already seen it happen, but no one knew they knew. And so everyone was freaking out backstage. And then as soon as he was about to fall into because he was directed to fall into the fountain, he fell into the fountain. He died. And then he came back up and got the sword and went to stab Romeo, but then he stabbed him and he died in the fountain. But he took the sword out of the fountain and went to stab him. It was so cool.
That's incredible.
We directed that and choreographed that ourselves because
you did.
Yeah.
That was why was that? That was
I hired somebody for stage combat. I hired somebody from Chicago to come out and work with you guys on the positions of the rapiers. Do you guys remember that?
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And during that you had all the plastic rapiers, like the fake. Yeah. We're not going to hurt anybody with plastic rapiers.
Not weighted.
Okay. She could only stay and I don't know if you guys remember, but it was she couldn't even get there until 9 o'clock at night. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we were there for till 2 o'clock in the morning most nights.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was one of the most ridiculous things ever. But it was hey, if you want this professional person to come out and teach your kids how to use a stinking rapier, then you have to meet with her at 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. and then she'll give you the moves, and then you're on your own. And so one of the reasons why I allowed you guys to do it on your own was because I figured you could each choreograph with whoever you were fighting at that given moment, instead of me choreographing a synchronous sword fight that would look totally ridiculous, because I definitely didn't have enough time nor talent to choreograph 3 or 4 different, fighting couples doing different things. So I figured if I let you guys choreograph it, then you really work with one person at a time. Okay, we're going to do this. And what you guys did was incredible. Somebody jumped off a wall. Somebody jumped over a fountain. The only thing that wasn't incredible was when you guys somebody made sparks. They figured out if you do these things, you can make sparks. And so they were trying to capitalize on that. And somebody got stabbed in the eye.
Yes.
Yeah, all of that really
that was
happened.
Marcus, right? I think the backflip and the eye stabbing were both Marcus.
Yeah, he ran up the wall, did a flip, and then they were literally hitting each other's swords as hard as they could to make those sparks happen. That's so
and
cool.
That was not a good idea, because we were working with stage rapiers, which had the blunt tip, but everything else about them were so totally weaponized. It was
a metal object.
Yeah,
Chris,
they were. Those were incredible, by the way. Those rapiers made you guys look incredible.
Oh, they were fantastic. We need to find a clip. Someone has it. We need to do some research. Find a clip of the sword fight. Someone has to have
the DVD.
Right?
Somebody has to have the DVD, right?
Somebody has to. I agree. It's somewhere.
It's somewhere.
I know my parents never bought any of the show DVDs, so not them.
See, I do remember buying the Romeo and Juliet one, but I couldn't tell you where it is. No.
Yeah,
no way.
I know. Isn't that the story of our lives? Mine is probably in my storage unit, but unfortunately it's probably melted by now.
Probably. Yeah. Mine's mine. I don't know where mine is. I probably threw it away. Honestly, I don't know. I don't even recall where it would be.
Yeah.
But that's what happens. Maybe we can find one. Maybe not. Maybe Chris, we'll just have to reenact it. Speaking of reenacting, Chris. Hey, are you up for a new kind of form of bold by choice theater?
I guess. What does it entail?
Okay, well, see, here was my idea. I was thinking that we're all talking, reminiscing about all these fantastic roles that we did, all the plays that we were involved in, and how great of a job we did everything. I mean, Akerman, the director here, right here, live, personal, she's telling us what a great job we did, and the thing is, like, she's not wrong. And I was seeing if we still had it. I was thinking
okay.
that as like I went on to further my thespian skills in college, but you didn't, right?
No,
speech class.
I always just relied on natural raw talent. I never had to practice, so that's where I was.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's just see how you do in this. And I was thinking that instead of this role, we usually have you be you in
Right.
these
Normally
in these theaters, but I think we could go out of the little comfort zone and see if you can portray your old role as Gregory. See, okay, so now here's what I want to say. There was a lot of cut out here. There was a lot. This is what I remember saying back in the day, but we cut out a lot, right? Because we were looking at the this is sidebar, by the way. We were looking at the play, and Chris and I were like, we don't remember saying any of these lines. Because I remember we also did a lot of cuts.
Yeah, there was a lot of throwing the women against walls and things that were cut out.
Yeah, like if you consider how this really opens, Gregory, on my word, will not carry coals. No, for then we should be colliers.
Yeah.
That's all. It all opens with like a bunch of body, like sexualized references to women. I think that we cut all of that, number one, because we were high school kids. You were high school kids. I didn't really think we needed to talk about how we were going to shove the women in the house of Montague to the wall and take their virginity. Like that I wasn't interested in that. But the whole point of Act 1, Scene 1 is to establish the feud between the Montagues and the Capulets. So I cut half of this scene and we started with where that fight took place. It's like the Capulets walk in, the Montagues walk in, they fight, the prince comes in and is like, dude, I'm going to kill you people, literally, if you keep fighting. So I decided to cut out all of the sexualized humor. And I'm kind of glad that I did in some respect, because that play was like 2.5 hours long.
Oh, it was so long. It was so long.
It's ridiculous. This particular play is just ridiculously long. So the more you can cut, the better.
Yeah. And that was, because we kind of out off mic, hashtag off mic. When we were talking about it, we were thinking that's exactly what we said too. It's like that we were reading back in it. I was like, well, that's why we cut it. We cut it because I mean,
I'm a little good Christian boy.
Well, basically the whole thing was you're talking about, screw the Montagues, let's just rape and pillage. Yeah. Rape and pillage, and be Capulets, be awesome Capulets, the ones that we are. It was definitely a sharks and jets feud. Speaking of plays, did you get that reference, Chris?
No.
Chris is.
Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, it was West Side Story. Chris doesn't know.
I've seen it once. I could not get into it.
Tony,
you know what? I agree with you, Chris. Even as a theater director, I would never touch that show. It bores me to tears.
Yeah, real boring.
So that's another question too. So we can get back to this here in a second, but I want to know, was there any plays that you had on the docket that you wanted to do and then chose not to do them kind of like last minute, or decided you weren't going to go through with it?
Not necessarily. I guess there was always a dream I had to do Newsies. And it just never was released in time for me to do it.
For sure. Yeah.
So that was one of them that I had always hoped I would get to and just never did. No, I would say that for the most part, if I wanted to do it, I did it. Now, I did choose, I can't remember, one year I was going to do Annie. I was going to do Annie. And for whatever reason, the kids revolted. They didn't want to do it. And I was like, who doesn't want to do Annie? But they didn't want to do Annie, so we did Footloose instead.
Oh, that's
That's
better
cool.
one. That's a better
Both
one.
are cool. Yeah. I mean, who doesn't get The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow stuck in their head all the time? Everybody. So
But what's
I
a
was
better
just
story?
surprised. I was just incredibly surprised by the number of students who just were vehemently opposed to Annie.
Mhm.
not cool. That's why.
Yeah,
Right.
strange. It was just strange, I guess. But as far as like the rest of the plays I wanted to do, I got to do them. I did Rumors, I did Noises Off, I did, yeah, I mean, they were incredible. I did, for the most part, what I wanted to do.
Yeah, you did what's that one? The Plant.
Little Shop of
Little
Horrors.
Shop of
Oh, no
Horrors.
way.
Yeah,
I
I
love
went to
that
it.
one.
Chris didn't go.
That's
too cool.
That's too cool.
That was
So
another really good one.
we didn't do a fall play the year we did Seussical, right?
don't think-
That was probably the year you did
Check, please.
it was either Check Please or the Fall Festival of One Acts.
Okay, it's Fall Festival One Acts then.
Yeah,
No,
so
it wasn't.
we either
Well, one of the years, I just remember we didn't have a full big play. So that's what I was saying.
because whatever year we didn't do one full-length play was the year we did the One Act Festival.
Got it. Okay.
But we had some sort of production every fall and every spring,
Yeah.
at the very least. Those were the two minimalistic things that we did.
Now, the one thing we haven't touched on, the last play that we haven't touched on, we've touched on the fetish chair one. We've touched on Actor's Nightmare, Romeo and Juliet, Joseph and Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Wiley and the Hairy Man, Check Please, One Acts. But we did not touch on the most infamous of ones, my least favorite, the one I didn't want to be a part of whatsoever. I was forced into it. Seussical the Musical.
I love that one.
I didn't mind it up until I became the babysitter for all of the little kids backstage. That's where I was very over theater senior year, spring semester, you know. But no, it was fun to do on stage. But yeah, that's where I was. Well, they were what all the
good show to watch. It was very colorful. There was a lot of movement with the blue mylar. That was exceptional. Like the voices, the songs, people sang so well. Like we had a lot of vocal talent for that production. That's another reason to do that particular production, is it gives a lot of people an opportunity to do a lead. So tons of female leads, tons of male leads, really cool song. That's always a good one to do.
which
like
I
that one.
remember having the most people for that, but I even still had to play like 3 roles. So we still didn't even have enough people, which is crazy to think about.
Well, we never have enough dudes, no matter what. We always have
Oh.
enough girls. Historically, we're always short on males.
Worked out for us.
So guess what? I stepped up. I stepped up and filled the gaps. I stepped up and filled the roster as Yertle the Turtle. Man, I'm really became the hero of this arc of high school theater. But no, I remember you coming up to me and you kind of set me aside. You said, "Skyler, listen." I said, "Nope." I said, "Nope." And you said, "No, listen, you don't even know what I said, "I know what you're going to say. You're going to ask me to be in Seussical, and I don't want to, because obviously we've already been through this song and dance, haha, and I can't do, say, song and dance." And you said, "Well, what can we do?" And you were negotiating with me. So what can we do? You know, and I was just like, "I don't want to sing." And you said, "Okay, you can say your lines." And I said, "Okay, deal."
I will. And Yertle the Turtle was the judge, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it worked out perfectly. If I remember correctly, it was totally fine.
Yes. It I definitely put character into it with kind of trying to step up to the point where, to kind of cover the whole singing aspect. Obviously I'm not doing that, so I'm gonna have to, make up for that in some way or another. So it was kind of like, "I heard no small voices. and you didn't either. And I like went off and just like,
Sure.
and asked for the
It
death
worked
spec.
out exceptionally well.
Yeah, it was good. It was fun. It was fun.
And I've seen that done like that before, where people verbalize the line with like a lot of feeling behind it and a lot of inflection, as opposed to singing it. And I think when you have someone who's a super strong actor, you can act your way through bad singing, but you can't sing your way through bad acting.
Oh yeah.
No.
All there is to it.
100%.
No way.
Yeah.
Yep. So I would take a strong actor over a strong singer any day of the week in a musical.
Chris, you were that Nazi, right?
The general. Yep. Yep. Yes, I was.
What was his name? His name was.
I don't remember, but I had
no.
that big green jacket, hair spiked straight up in the air.
Dude, I sent you the picture. All right,
Yeah.
I got it right here. It's pulled up.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
General Genghis Khan Schmitz.
Yeah, that sounds really
I'm
nasty.
General Genghis Khan Schmitz. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
That was great because it was perfect because I was the only bass and that was the only bass line.
Yeah, you were fine. You were fine doing that.
Yeah, that was fun. It was fun. At the end of the day, we had a blast with it, but neither one of us really wanted to do it at the start at all.
I'm glad that you did, because I think that's a great way to round out your senior year. Otherwise, I feel like there's like a huge gap and it's like, well, what did I do? And it's like, oh, I just didn't do anything at that point. So I always appreciate when seniors stick it out for the whole year, because it feels like as a theater group, we finished strong.
Yeah, I guess.
Agreed.
Yeah, you're right. And I don't. It's not like I ever regretted doing it. I'm glad I did it, especially when one of the leads, which is Cat in the Hat, their mom came up to me and said, "Skyler, I know Michael was the Cat in the Hat, one of the leads of the play, but man, you made the show." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I was on stage for 2 seconds."
That's what happens when people are memorable. When people do memorable, when they act really well and portray a character in a memorable fashion, like there always tends to be that one random person who just steals the show for whatever reason.
Well, and for different people too, right? I mean, obviously they're subjective,
Also, this mob has known us all since we were 2-3 years old, something really young. So
yeah, for sure. That was fun. That was good. But yeah, so kind of like closing thoughts, Akerman. Overall, thank you so much for kind of like the influence that you had on our lives. My life. I don't know about Chris.
No, definitely.
I
You'll think it's funny
too. I couldn't have had a better first foray into directing at 24 than to be with you guys doing it. People who were completely dedicated and passionate and cared about what they did, and that's hard. It's hard to find that combination anymore. So I got really lucky having people like you guys to work with.
You set that bar pretty high.
Yes, you did. You really did.
Man, what'd you wear? 13 size shoes? We can't fill these. Custom make these shoes.
I do feel like we hit it at a really good time. You were just coming in, doing your first shows.
We grew together.
We also had the old kind of, guard of people, the small clique type of a theater cast that really brought us under their wing. And I think the combination of, it was a good time. I don't know where I cut out, but yeah, we had you in there kind of starting out, and we had the old guard in there, and everybody really brought us under a wing. I think for us two, at least, especially, it just made it so much fun. And I mean, even when we were supposed to be in class, we were coming to theater, to do things.
We were really dedicated, and we skipped out on academia to be dedicated.
Oh, exactly. 100%. How many times I failed chemistry because of theater?
I'm so sorry.
No, it's not your fault. I didn't want to go to chemistry. I'd rather go in the prop loft.
Yeah, I can't lie. During Tech Week, it's like all of my English classes went down to theater. They sat in the audience and we worked. I mean, what we did.
Yeah. We did. We worked during class, during lunch, especially during Tech Week. Yeah, that was.
To bring it all together.
All night, check in the morning, drop some stuff off on the stage because you're going to be there all day. And
Yep.
Yeah.
Or, power through and wear that guy liner because you didn't take a shower after you got home at 2 a.m. and now you're just sporting it for the rest of the day.
Guy liner, I love
Yeah,
it. That's a
guy
great
liner.
name.
Chris did that normally off play season, but I just did it during Tech Week. I'm just joking, Chris. You didn't do that. At least I don't think you did.
I didn't. I did listen to the emo music, but I never got into the.
Oh, you didn't go
So,
full emo. You went
not full.
Yeah,
I wore the polo still, but
closeted emo. That's fine. That's fine. But no, I do want to hit on this too, Akron, before we go. We obviously are bald by choice, by the way, by choice. Not because we're almost in our 30s and our hair was thinning. That is not
at all the case.
Don't even think that. That's not what happened.
Never been told I was at a bald spot in my life.
Yes,
Okay.
we're not part of that. 66% of all males under 35 go bald. So we're not part of that. But this is by choice. But it leads me to this. I do remember during what was it? One of the auditions, you asked me, because this is I was auditioning for a leading role, and you asked me, and you said, do you remember this?
Are you willing to cut your hair, dye your hair, or change your hair?
And I said, I literally thought about it, and I said, I'll do it. And I think now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you were asking me that question not because you wanted to do that, but because to show what the commitment level was. Is that right?
Yeah, I always ask that question because I wanted to know like who really is committed to a character. And like for certain roles, we would want, if you're going to audition for Romeo, I didn't want Romeo's hair to be down to his bum.
Mm-hmm.
So if they were rocking a really contemporary hairdo, I needed to know who I could count upon to rock a time period appropriate hairstyle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like if you remember the year before that, we had one of the characters put extensions in because she had super short hair, but she was playing like the fairy queen.
Mm-hmm.
Who should have like really long, sort of thick, voluptuous hair. But yeah, I really did always like asking that question because it gave me a lot of information and insight into, the type of people I was working with.
Gotcha. Yeah, that always stuck with me. I always like thought back at that, and I was like, I hope I answered that question right, and I hope she doesn't ask me to change, cut, or dye my hair.
Yeah.
Cut, dye, or change. You're willing to cut your hair, dye your hair, or change your hair.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I'd hate to in a production too, like when you cast somebody, you typically cast them as they are. So then if they walk out and their hair's down to their butt and they chop it off, if my Juliet walks out that night and her hair was halfway down her back and she comes back tomorrow with a pixie cut, we got to talk. I got to have you wear a wig now. So for some roles, that is important.
Now, so as we head out here, lasting thoughts. Okay, so after we left, what, I guess we kind of touched on it a little bit, but what kind of was the difference after we left? We kind of came back a couple of times just for like award shows or to as an audience member, but like, what did you see that was different?
Well, I never had another Skyler and Chris duo. There was never another male duo like you guys. The last duo I had was the female duo. They graduated the year after you, Corin and Taylor.
Yeah.
So like they were the female versions of you. You guys were really close with them, but you were a year older.
Mm-hmm.
So I had them for one last year after you guys left. And then I really never had another female duo like that. That's not to say that I didn't have exceptionally talented people, because I did, but I just never had the dynamic between and among people like the four of you.
Mm-hmm.
We did some amazing shows. One of my favorite shows of all time was probably the last show I directed, which was Noises Off. And that was exceptional. I don't know if you guys remember, do you know Regan Stevenson? And yeah, that would have been way after you guys. Diandra De Miranda Leo, Brock Crockham. Oh, okay. It was just
man, those are some names though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Brock and Diandra De Miranda Leo, they travel all over the world now. That they work for. They went to Young Americans and they're working actors. Like they moved to New York.
Look at that.
Awesome.
Yeah, they stayed in. I had a lot of people after you guys who stayed actors. They were very, very committed to their craft. Like lots of people who majored in theater and lots of people who stayed highly involved in theater even after, long after high school. So that's been kind of cool. The level of commitment wasn't just a high school thing. Like people let that kind of be the direction that they took in life, and that's been kind of cool to watch.
Yeah.
So,
No, definitely. I mean, with names like that, you got to go into showbiz.
Yeah.
My
Missed
God.
opportunity if you don't.
Yeah, seriously. It's like if your last name is Pepper, you got to be a doctor, right? Like, duh, right? I mean, you'd have the motivation to at least.
Absolutely.
That's funny. Okay. Well, hey, Akerman, thank you so much. Again, tried to call you Kasey, didn't come out. Thank you so much for joining the Bold by Choice podcast. Well, hey, what's going on with Brandon?
Now it's time for
What's going on with Brandon?
Theater. Music. Musical theater. I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about how me and Skyler and Chris have been friends for a long time, and until just recently, we had no idea all three of us were in Seussical the musical, and I was Horton the elephant. I don't know why I closed my eyes, Fun fact about that musical, some people think the Cat in the Hat is the lead. Cat in the Hat is the narrator. Horton is the lead.
And that's what's going on with Brandon. Okay, cue balls, we're going to have a script reading of Samson and Gregory from the play Romeo and Juliet. It should have been called Samson and Gregory,
Should have been.
honestly.
It really should have been.
been.
We started everything.
We started the play.
If we weren't there.
We started the war
Yeah.
between the Montagues and Capulets.
We're the reason Romeo and Juliet died. Okay.
You think they took their own lives by their own hands?
Yeah.
Yes, but why though? Because Samson and Gregory.
Because we started a war.
Boom. I mean, straight up. So what you're about to witness is a dramatic reading of Samson and Gregory. Bold by Choice Theater presents Samson and Gregory. And enjoy. Scene 1, Verona, a public place. Enter Samson and Gregory of the House of Capulet, armed with swords and bucklers.
It's like a shield.
What's a
Like
buckler?
a little shield.
Oh, it's a
Yeah,
shield.
It's like a smaller one.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, that's cool. We didn't have those.
No, we didn't.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh,
Cheap
okay.
play.
Guess we
They just hired somebody to
Here we
teach us
go.
how to use swords, whatever. Anyways.
100%. Okay, so I'm Samson. You're
Gregory. Gregory, not Chris. Got it. I can do this.
not Chris. You're Gregory.
All right.
Gotcha. Okay, so here we go. My naked weapon is out. Coral, I will back thee.
Is that your penis?
Does he say is it his penis?
Naked weapon? I mean, what else would that be?
I think it's like a unsheathed sword.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
Well, how?
Either way,
Turn my back at your back and run?
it's thy back,
Thy,
but
yeah.
that's fine. We'll run with it. Fear me not.
No, Mary. I fear thee. Or
Let us take the law on our sides. Let them begin. So like let them fight.
okay.
Like let them start it. Okay.
But your name isn't Mary, so I was a little confused there. Anyways, I will frown as I pass by. Let them take it as they list. Ooh, mean mugging people.
The worst thing to do, for sure. Nay, as they dare, I will bite my thumb at them, which is a disgrace to them, if they bear it. So like the middle finger, I
Flip
think
them
that's
off.
what that means. Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Boom. Nailed it.
Come on. That's all it takes to start a war. Mean mug somebody and flip them off.
You know, I've seen war start from less.
True. Like the death of a historical figure.
Or the Boston Massacre. They threw a snowball. Like, come on.
I think Ireland has something to say about this too, but that's for another day.
For sure. All right, applause. Look at us. We did
We
it.
did it.
So that's
Wow.
Yeah. That was
That was fun.
it was fun. It was good to catch up. It really was. It was good. It was very heartwarming, I feel like. I don't know. I don't think she's changed at all. I don't think we've changed as much
No.
as we thought we have. We kind of just
Yeah.
picked up from where we left off is what it felt like.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun catching up. It definitely didn't feel like 14. Well, I guess not 14. Well, 11 years, but still,
Well, it's 14
that
years
was it
since
was
we
good.
started,
Yeah,
but like
yeah,
11 years since we graduated.
yeah.
That's nuts.
It was a nice walk down memory lane.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot I obviously didn't remember until we started talking about it. I
Oh,
thought that was kind of the
yeah.
funniest
Well,
part.
you were always that way though. I mean, you're always the
Yeah,
guy who didn't either remember names or whatever, but
uh,
yeah. And I was like, okay, well,
hey,
this is that.
I live in the moment. What could I say?
Oh, hilarious. Yeah. You were also voted nicest guy in high school, which I didn't know how was possible. Probably because I was in the background saying, okay, yeah, her name is this name. This is what you said. This is what we did. You're like, oh, yeah, yeah. And they're like, oh, you remembered. You remembered.
I always tell people
No.
I'm the nicest guy in the world until you get to know me and you're my friend.
So you're more of like a first impression, like type of
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Okay. That makes sense, I guess. But yeah, there it is. I mean, that's pretty much in a nutshell, our 3-year high school theater experience. I really enjoyed it. I definitely think it was my calling to do theater. Eventually, like I said before, I led into college and did a bunch of like improv stuff in college and really enjoyed that. Especially maybe improv is more of my calling because I never really knew all my lines until the actual show date. So
And we always had more fun with the like the Friday Night Live type of a thing.
oh, the
anyways.
sketch,
We
yeah,
just got
yeah,
to do our own thing on stage. And have
for
fun
sure,
with it.
for sure. But sticking with the art theme, Chris, I really think that arts are very important, especially growing
Agreed.
up. I mean, in high school, I mean, you always have the sports, which is great. Obviously, people love doing that stuff. I mean, we were even in the best positions on the baseball team at one point until we were like, theater is basically what we want to do. Then we were managers.
Yeah, it's true.
We were managers.
Yeah. I mean, I joined band in third grade, right?
Yeah.
That's when you joined for the first time. I've just been in it forever. So I agree. I think they're completely, utterly important. There's all those studies out there that show that kids that are in the arts typically have higher grades because there's something about what it does to your mind along the way.
Yeah.
And our school that we went to, our high school, they when we left, they tried to cancel the music program.
Oh, I didn't
So,
know that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think they're important, and I think it needs to be a larger conversation.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think that whatever you're calling it may be, whether that be sports or whatever, I would never say not to try out. Like you said, you went to try out with me just to be that moral support, and then you end up loving it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until you try
Yeah, had a
something, you
blast.
really don't know whether you're gonna like it or not. And I think that theater is definitely one of those things that is for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, think of it this way. My dad and my mom, I mean, both got like scholarships to college. The college was paid for. Mom went, got a softball full ride scholarship, and my dad was all state wrestling champ. And then they had their little offspring who was, I want to do theater. You know what I mean? Like, and they were super supportive, and it was great. And they let me do my own thing. And I did, as a kid, grew up and tried a little bit of everything, and theater is what stuck. And I really, really, really liked it. So definitely support the arts, guys. It's definitely
Support
one
the
of those
arts.
confidence builders. Even you said, Chris, before off mic, hashtag off mic, that it really did make speech class in college a lot easier because you're already comfortable talking in front of an audience, right?
Yeah, I think I told you about that. We had to do was it a demonstrative, right? That's what they're called.
Yeah.
Speech is one of them. And I didn't even write mine out
Yep.
because it was all just in front of people. So I made a PowerPoint the night before and I just winged it, It's definitely something I don't think I would have done without that theater background in there. But, and we say save the arts, but really, I would say it's a further message, especially if any of the young folk are listen to our podcast, which I highly doubt they are, and they shouldn't be if they are not age appropriate. But try out for something. Just do it. Like you said, you don't know until you try. And honestly, I think that whether it's sports, whether it's the arts, it'll definitely help you break out of your shell. If you're, a shy kid or a nervous and anxious person, it's definitely something for everybody out there. There really is. And as an adult now, after you're done with college, you don't get those kind of opportunities. So don't waste them.
Nope.
Definitely do them while you can.
And I couldn't say it better myself. So with that being said, cue balls, like we say at the end of every show, at the end of every week, stay bald, stay bold. Oh, and like, comment, and subscribe while you're here. You know, if you've made it this far into the video, like, comment, subscribe down in the little comment section. Hit that little button and that subscribe icon as well. That would be great. We didn't do it at the beginning of the episode, so I thought we should do it at the end. But hey, again, stay bald, and we'll did I say stay bald again?
Yeah, you did.
Shit.
Twice.
All right. Well then, we'll talk to you next week.